it's one or the other kind of thing. Either your team 100ZZ or your team 1000Z. And I am completely team 100ZZ. I hate the 1000Z. This racket is the most expensive new racket I've ever bought. This just came out a few days ago and it's already sold out everywhere. In fact, it was sold out before it even came out. And I got my hands on one of them right here. I didn't even get it strung, but I'm showing you first. So in today's video, I'm going to show you what this racket is. You probably already know if you've watched all my videos. I'm going to tell you why this is the best racket you can buy today, new racket, why I think you might want to consider it. And at the end of the video, I'm going to compare it to a few of my other rackets, and because those are the most common questions I get. Now, if you watched all my other videos, you probably already know what this racket is. And given that this is the design of the bag with a signature right here, you can probably already tell that this is a very special limited edition racket. So let's take a look together. So you see this bag, first of all, it's kind of weird, to be honest. I don't really know if I like it. It's not hard. As you can see, look, it kind of just, it's very flimsy. It's like one of those Japanese style bags, if you know what I mean. Like if any of you have bought a Japan racket before, they don't come in bags like this. Like these are very sturdy type bags, but the JP, like when you buy a Yonex racket in Japan, it comes in this flimsy black kind of bag, and this is similar. So what is this racket? Well, I'm not gonna keep you waiting here. Just gonna put the cover back on to show you here, but it is, here you go, the 100ZZ Viktor Axelsen edition. Okay, you can see on here, this is the Astrox 100ZZ Viktor Axelsen edition, and you can tell right there is his signature right here. It is 4U G5, which is what I usually like to get for this racket, and it is I'm colorblind here, but it is, I'm just gonna call it white. This racket is the third one, and I'm gonna show you here the other two just to recap. So you've got the navy blue Kurenai, navy blue, and the Kurenai red. So I've got these two right here. Black, red, blue and black, sorry. And now there's the white one. I think this racket came out 5 days ago. I actually picked it up on 2 days ago and wanted it strung immediately, but my stringer wasn't there, and so I can't trust anybody else but my stringer to string this, especially a racket like this. Now, how much did I pay for this? I paid $400 Canadian for this racket, all in, tax included. I think it's like $381 is what I paid, full transparency. And that is, I'm pretty sure here in the city of Vancouver where I live, you're not gonna get cheaper than this. This is not financial advice, but here's why I think you might want to consider this racket. And here's the reasons why I bought this racket. The main reason, first and foremost, is that I love the 100ZZ. And we'll talk about the 100ZZ real quickly in a second. But I just want to list the high-level reasons because this is probably why you clicked on the video. The second reason is, yes, it is, at almost $400. It is the most expensive new racket I've ever bought. But I think it will go up in value. If you've watched all my other videos, all my rackets, most of them go up in value. Here, look at this one. This is the navy blue 100ZZ. I'm gonna try to flash up the price here on the local website here at Yumo, which is where a lot of people shop for rackets here in Vancouver. But this navy blue one has gone up in value so much. It's ridiculous. But I kind of understand because, to be honest, I've talked about this before, but the navy blue one plays a lot better than this black Kurenai red one. It is slightly lighter, it's speedier. It's just perfect. If I could have gone back in time, I would have bought 3 of these navy blue ones. This black one, I don't know. But hey, maybe it's QAQC, but then at the same time, I trust Yonex's QAQC enough to not have such a big discrepancy. So I'm kind of wondering, is it like a special tactic that they do? Because, and also tell me in the comment section, do you find the navy blue one better looking or the Kurenai red one better looking? Tell me in the comments below. But you know what? Either way, I think what's the worst looking is this new one. You heard that right. I actually am not a fan of this Viktor Axelsen color. Hey, Viktor Axelsen, if you're watching this video, props to you for having your own 100ZZ and having it sell out everywhere. Congrats on everything. Personally, I would have just kept it white somehow, but I get that, you have these 100ZZ color tones and you needed something. Anyway, I don't know. It's not really that great of a look. I like white, but I don't like this yellowish, greenish color. I'm colorblind, by the way, but anyway, I bought it because I like you, Viktor Axelsen, and I love this racket. But back to the reasons, I think that this racket will go up in value 1000%. Now, before you even comment, I am not buying any of my rackets in hopes that it will go up in value and then I sell them. In fact, I've never sold a badminton racket before. You've watched my channel. I have, this navy blue 100ZZ. I have so many rackets here that I'm going to show you and compare against. I have all these older rackets that I've showed you on my channel before, including the Nanospeed 9900, which, as a reminder, costs a lot of money these days to buy. And I don't sell any of them. I don't buy to sell. There's no, how much can you really make flipping badminton rackets? And you really have to know your stuff. So yeah, that's not the reason. But I say that because it's kind of like someone will say, oh, you spent $400 on a new racket, so expensive. Yeah, let's talk about the pros and cons. There's no cons, because the con is, as long as I have the cash flow, at a future date, if I really don't want it, I feel like I could just easily give this back to the market and get my money back. And in between that time, I have the benefit of looking at this, admiring this racket, using my favorite racket, and it's just like a no-brainer. There's no cons to buying it unless you don't have the cash flow. And I barely don't, but I basically spend all my money on badminton, and it's my biggest hobby, and that's why I have so many rackets. But again, I mentioned this in my videos. Don't compare yourself with anything in life, not just badminton. Don't compare your level 1 to somebody else's level 100. I'm not saying I'm level 100, but I'm old. I've been collecting and playing badminton stuff for 20 years. So I don't buy 2 rackets in a year or something like that. I buy 1 per year. This year was a little bit of a special case because I bought this one, the 88D Pro, but that was because I was in Japan, and you'd be a fool not to buy a racket in Japan. I don't know if you want me to elaborate on that, but in short, JP rackets are worth more than your local Australian, Canadian, USA rackets. It's share tea, by the way. And it's all right. It's a little sweet, even though it has 0 sugar. But that aside, let's talk about the 100ZZ. So why did I buy a third 100ZZ? If you add up my 100ZZ, it's almost $1,000 of just 100ZZ. That's crazy. But why I'm not gonna hold this racket anymore. You've seen enough of this. You see the color tone. Let's get in this color tone again, just so you can see a little bit closer here. So yeah, so this is the 100ZZ sort of color tone here that I guess Viktor and team have landed on. You've got everything else basically being the same as what you would expect. Recessed frame all throughout, hyper slim shaft, which we'll talk about soon. Solid core as well. You've got a white handle, although obviously that can be changed. As you can see, this is the 100ZZ4 UG5. So, and then on the back, you've got nothing special. You've got the Yonex logo. So sorry for the camera. Again, I'm a beginner YouTuber, so bear with me here. Okay, so 100ZZ. Let's high level recap. I'm not like other badminton video people, and I've gotten numerous compliments in my videos. Thank you so much about this. I'm just gonna offer my perspective. I'm not gonna bore you to death with specs and stuff. You can look up the specs. So 100ZZ is part of the Astrox line. The Astrox line is head-heavy series of Yonex, although unlike previous generations of head-heavy Yonex rackets, Astrox has this new technology called the rotational generation generator system, which, to dumb it down, whether it's marketing or not, what it's supposed to do is allow you to feel less head heaviness while still having that head heavy balance and power. And I don't know how much of it is placebo or marketing, and how much of it is true science. But from my experience trust me, from someone who used to use Valtric rackets, have used Valtric Z-Force 2s, used Valtric 80s, I used to have Valtric 70, and even prior generations, I have a titanium 10 racket, as you know, so I am a head heavy kind of guy. And as someone who has two 88D Pros, one of them is right here, and three 100ZZs, I'm looking at them right here, and also a Astrox 77 Pro. As someone who has all these head heavy rackets, I can tell you, like 6 Astrox rackets here, that the Astrox rackets do feel less head heavy, even though according to spec sheets, they have the same true head heavy weight balance. Now, 100ZZ is magical in that regard because it actually is quite speedy of a racket, even though it's a head heavy. It's quite head heavy from a balance points perspective, but because it has a hyper slim shaft, because when I'm gripping the handle, you notice my hand is already, if I put my hand here, it's pretty much the shaft length. So your handle cone is pretty far up, and that allows you to maneuver pretty quickly. And because of the fully recessed frame and rotational generation system, all these things combined, I feel like this racket it has a balance point of, let's say I'm making numbers up, 320, but it feels like it has a balance point of 300. So pain point is it feels less head heavy than it actually is, and that's why I love this racket. It also is a Z frame. A Z frame is a smaller racket frame, making it feel like it's a speedier racket. 100ZZ is, who is this for? It is for 10 out of 10 power people, so anyone who wants to be a backcourt singles player, doubles backcourt, mixed doubles guy player, those smashers in the back, which is me, I love smashing. That's who this is for, but it's also for someone who values good control, maneuverability, and speediness. So this is a really just all-rounded racket. It's no wonder that a number of top players use this racket. So Viktor Axelsen, obviously, but also Shi Yuqi, and a bunch of other people use this racket. Li Shifeng probably uses this racket. I'm gonna have to look that up, but it's such a good racket. 10 out of 10 power. 8 out of 10 speed and 2 out of 10 user friendliness. This racket is not user friendly. Okay, this racket is not user friendly. It is very hard to use because of the Z frame, because of how stiff it is. It has a solid core shaft, meaning it's one of the stiffest rackets ever made. I will say this. The reason why I have two 88D Pros and one 77 Pro, which is one of the best rackets ever, goes like this. Hear me out. Here's my kind of step ladder approach. So every week I play badminton, and we all have random days, good days, bad days, off days. So, but I never know, because just because I've not had enough sleep or I've not had enough food doesn't mean I'm gonna have an off day. Sometimes I show up even though I'm so tired and I'm dead, and I'm having the best badminton session of my life. Sometimes I'm like, I had great sleep, a good food, bubble tea, and for some reason I'm just mishitting everything. So, badminton performance vibes has very little to do with that day, how you feel. Maybe there's some emotional component to it, but main point is, when I show up on the badminton court, the first racket I usually take out is my 100ZZ. I play two maybe games with it first, and then after that, I'll know. 50% of the time, I'll be like, yeah, I'm having a not so great day, because the 100ZZ is so unforgiving that I'll just, if you're having not a great day, this racket will tell you. That's probably a plus, right? But I'll be mishitting everything in the first two sessions, and hey, no excuse because I've already played two games. So that's when I kind of say, all right, 100ZZ, I hear you. So then I downgrade isn't the right word, but I downgrade whatever. I downgrade to the 88D Pro. The 88D Pro is a lot more user friendly, but it's still not that user friendly. But compared to the 100ZZ, a lot of things is user friendly. One main reason is because it has a regular head, not a Z frame, and it has a regular stiff, very stiff shaft, but not like a hyper solid core slim shaft. It has a hollow core shaft, like a regular shaft. And I would say like the 2024 version 88D Pro isn't actually that head heavy as well. So I use this racket. Now, this racket isn't exactly the most user-friendly either, but this racket will tell me again. So then I use this racket for like a couple rallies, and usually I play the rest with this. Like 99% of the time, I'll just keep using the 88D Pro, and that's a great session. But on rare occasions, like 10% of the time, I'll be like still mishitting with this racket, still not doing so great, just feeling weak overall. And that's when I go, okay, 77 Pro, you're up. Now let me tell you, the 77 Pro is probably secretly, I have to say secretly because I don't want these 100ZZs to be upset as if they had emotions, but secretly my favorite racket. It is, I'll say it like this. For anyone watching right now who isn't a badminton geek like I am and some other people that are watching right now, if you're just like kind of into badminton, you know roughly what I'm talking about, and you're in search of your next racket, I don't care who you are, how strong you are, boy, girl, I don't care. Get this racket. I don't even care if you have 5 rackets already and you need a 6. Get this racket, the Astrox 77 Pro. This is the racket I recommend every single person, regardless of anything, to get. It is such a user-friendly racket. It has really good power. It has really good control. It is more like an even balanced racket. I highly, highly recommend that you get this racket. Period. So good. So that's sort of my my step ladder approach to choosing my rackets. Now, I have a bunch of rackets that I also use, but I use them when I play at more recreational places. These rackets are more serious badminton rackets, and I say that because the recreational ones, they sometimes use plastic, and these Astrox rackets, they're strung really high. They're not really high, but like 28, 26, 29, 27, that kind of stuff. All right, we've talked about the Astrox 100ZZ, and we've talked about why I bought the Viktor Axelsen edition. Hopefully you might want to consider buying one. Now, please, if you find a way to buy one of these, let me know, because I want to know how hard it is to get one of these in your home country. Because right here in Vancouver, I swear, it was like sold out before it even came out. I actually had to find a friend who knew a friend who had insider connections to get me one of these. I had to pay cash, so I didn't really like that much. But what the things I do to get hold of these to show you. Now, unfortunately, I can't get this strung yet until my stringer comes back. But as soon as I get this strung, I will string it, play with it, and I'll report back to all of you how this racket performs compared to the black and blue editions. Now, I want to do a quick comparison of, if you're still here, thank you, of the 100ZZ versus a few other rackets, because the most common question I get, I swear, in the comment section of all my videos is, hey, how does this racket compare to that racket? How does this racket compare to that racket? Oh, and before I even do that, I just want to address one biggest question that all of you have about the 100ZZ. I'm going to just say the answer. For you. I'll say it again. For you. Okay? Please stop asking me whether you should get through you or for you. I appreciate your comment, but I just need to address this right now. I can barely think of a use case for the 3U. Listen to me. The 100ZZ is a very hard to use, heavy racket already. You're not Viktor Axelsen or Akane Yamaguchi, both of which uses this racket and in a 3U. This is a heavy, hard to use racket. You don't need the 3U. You can trust me. The 4U is hard enough and heavy enough to swing. You don't need the 3U. Get the 4U. The incremental speed and maneuverability you get from the 4U on this racket completely outweighs any incremental benefit that you would get from the additional smashing power, if you will, from a 3U. This racket has no problems clearing from backline to backline. No problems. It is a powerful, high repulsion, really good racket. By the way, you need to get the right strings. I use Aerobite. But you don't need the 3. You really don't. In fact, I swear, even for the really strong people that are watching right now, you're going to generate a much stronger smash with this 4U, because I think the additional swing speed you're going to get on the 4U on this racket would generate the more velocity than slightly less swing speed, but more head weight. Oh no, sorry, more weight overall on the 3U. I basically don't see the point of getting a head-heavy 3U, like a super head-heavy 3U in this day and age. Relatively not so head-heavy, like Astrox 77 in a 3U. I see that happening, because this racket isn't that heavy, to be honest. It's more like a even balance racket, and it doesn't have as much head weight, and it's also more flexible. So I see a 3U's incremental weight being beneficial on this racket, but not on a 100ZZ. Okay, so back to comparisons. Let's start with the 88D Pro. So how does the 100ZZ compare with this 88D Pro? From a power standpoint, less power on the 88D Pro. I must caveat with power, it's many caveats. The first caveat is, I'm assuming you're on the best performance day possible when using both rackets, like tip-top shape for both rackets. And I'm assuming everything is executed perfectly, your smash, everything. And then I'm talking about the very peak power you might be getting like 5%, less than 5% more on the 100ZZ, just because it's a Z frame and because it's stiffer. Now, that completely gets obliterated once you hear my rating on the user friendliness, which I would say the 88D Pro is like 8 out of 10 user friendliness, and the 100ZZ, no, 88D Pro is like 7 out of 10 user friendliness, and then the 100ZZ is probably like 4 out of 10 user friendliness. So you see, that trade-off is not worth it. That's why, again, don't get this 100ZZ, especially not this expensive Viktor Axelsen edition, unless you have the cash flow, because you're not always going to be able to use this racket. Like me, you're going to have your other rackets as majority use, because the 100ZZ really is not, it's only 50% of times that I get to use this racket. So the user friendliness, not good. And therefore, if you kind of do in statistics terms, do like an expected value of, like, let's say you do 100 smashes with the 88D and 100 smashes with 100ZZ, and you probably end up with like 5 smashes on the 100ZZ that are faster than the 88D, but you end up with 50 smashes that are better and faster and higher quality on the 88D than the 100ZZ. And that's because the user friendliness, like when you're not hitting the sweet spot right here, the bird's not gonna fly, right? So that's what I mean when I talk about the power in the first standpoint, is you've got to be on your game for both. And that's how I'm kind of measuring the power. And in terms of touch, like nets, drops, control stuff, I'd say both are equally as good. They're both stiff rackets. Both have this weight to it. But one big thing that this 100ZZ has that no other modern day racket has is the solid feeling. I've talked a lot about this on my channel. I don't think anyone talks about this, but modern day rackets, even the 88D and all the Nanoflares, the Arc Sabers, everything has sort of like this softer feeling. And I don't know if it's because, like, somebody told me Yonex changed their materials or something like that, but older rackets still have this solid bam kind of hit. All these modern day rackets are like pop sound. I don't really like that. It's like soft when you hit it. It's not like a soft racket. It's just when you hit it, it doesn't make the solid feeling. Whereas the 100ZZ still retains that, just like older rackets. It might be because the 100ZZ it's probably the oldest racket right now in the Astrox line, in the modern day world actually. Because the Astrox 100ZZ first came out in March 2020. And it keeps going up in value. And then they even make a new one in 2025. That's how good this racket is. It keeps selling out. But this racket, the navy blue one, came out in March 2020. I believe it only took a year or so, or maybe 2 years. And then they discontinued this and then came out with the Kurenai red. And then after that, it's been 3 years or 4 years, and now they finally came out with the Viktor Axelsen edition. So there's a reason why this is such a good racket, why it's such a bestseller, why they keep making a new version, why they don't. Have you ever wondered why there was never like a refresh of the 100ZZ? Like, there's no 100ZZ Pro second generation, third generation. No, it's literally March 2020. How many years is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.5 years, and it's the exact same racket. In that time frame, the 88D right here is already on its third generation. And the 77 is already on its second. The 77 Pro is the second, right? So I don't know how much more proof I can give that this is such a good racket. But it's not user-friendly. Next racket I'll compare it to is the 77 Pro. There's no comparison because they're two separate worlds of rackets, even though they're in Astrox line. The 77 Pro is way more user-friendly, 10 out of 10 user-friendliness. And as a result, you're gonna get more high quality, faster smashes most of the time than any of these other rackets I've showed. If you're not a professional player like me, as an intermediate player. But peak performance, like peak smash power, noticeably not as great as the 88D and the 100ZZ in that order. And then in terms of control, it's just as good as the other ones. Like maybe like a tad worse in terms of touch, just because of the medium flex. But they say medium. So let me tell you, Yonex says the 77 Pro, anything with a 7 historically. So the Arcsaber 7, Nanoflare 700 Pro. They say these are medium flex, but it's actually not really. It's actually medium, relatively medium flex. So because we're talking about the top of the line Yonex rackets, they're actually all stiff. It's actually some are just more stiff than, like, the 88D is stiff as the 100ZZ is insanely stiff. So when they say the 77 Pro is medium flex, it's not really medium flex. I would still say it's pretty stiff. It's just relatively not as stiff as the 88D Pro and the 100ZZ, but it's for sure way more stiff than all the other non-pro rackets or numbering systems in the lines that I don't know about. Because as you know, I only buy the top rackets. So that's what I'll say. Now, some of you are gonna ask, so I'm gonna answer. I don't have a lot of rackets, but I've used a lot of rackets. So let's talk about the Nanoflares, because I know a lot of you like Nanoflares. Now, something you have to know about me is I hate the current gen Nanoflare line, all of them. And I didn't really like any Nanoflares anyway, not even the previous Nanoflares. The 1000Z, let's start with that. God, I made a whole video about this racket. I don't like this racket. Now, I read the comments on that video, and apparently a lot of people still like that racket. So I'll be respectful-ish. That racket is going to be as user-unfriendly as the 100ZZ, if not more user-unfriendly. It's going to be less head-heavy. It's roughly the same amount of stiffness. And so what does that all mean? Compared to the 100ZZ, objectively, I'm not going to try not to include my bias into this. Objectively speaking, the 1000Z is going to be harder to use. It's going to generate peak performance. I would still say less power than the 100ZZ. It's going to have similar touch. So I'd say try both and see which one suits your taste, but I would say both are like, it's one or the other kind of thing. Either your team 100ZZ or your team 1000Z. And I am completely team 100ZZ. I hate the 1000Z. First of all, it looks ugly. That yellow and black. Second of all, the head shape is like weird. It's not even, it's a Z frame, but it's actually even smaller than a traditional Z frame. It is. Go measure the 1000Z against like a 100ZZ. I wish I had it here to show you, but just trust me. It's like the smallest head frame, but it's also super fat. Like if you think the here, I'll grab the Viktor Axelsen. If you think this is fat, like the 1000ZZ, the 1000Z is like super fat. It's like the 800 Pro, like the Nanoflare 800 Pro, which is also super fat, which we'll talk about now. So the 800 Pro is slightly better than the 1000Z. I still don't like it. It's gonna be more user-friendly because it's a regular head frame. It's gonna have way less power. Controls all right. So if you want power, you don't want to look into the Nanoflares. Just don't. If you want power, okay. So here's what I'll say. If you want power, period. Astrox only. Get the ones I have. 100ZZ, 88D Pro. That's it. And no 88S, please. My problem with 88S is that it serves no purpose. Either get the 88D Pro or the 77 Pro. 88S is like weird. It's like trying to be an 88D Pro. So it's kind of like not that light, not that soft, but it's like just as user unfriendly, and there's no additional benefit compared to the 77 Pro. So it's like if you stack them against each other, the 88S serves no purpose, and on top of that, the 88S is like 5mm shorter. This is what Yonex marketing says. All these rackets that I've showed you today, they're so-called 10mm longer, and then the 88S Pro is 5mm longer. Longer than what? Every racket that I've had since the beginning of time from Yonex is 10mm longer. So the way I think about it is 10mm longer is the default. So 88S Pro is actually 5mm shorter, and it is. I measured them. As a short person with less wingspan, I just can't have I need that additional 5mm. If you're Viktor Axelsen, maybe not. You're 6'4", sure. But, even if you're a tall person, you can benefit from that additional 5mm. Like, why? Like, that's literally the difference between hitting the frame or not hitting the frame, or hitting the sweet spot and not hitting the sweet spot. And also just be consistent. Like, every racket is 10mm longer. Why is 88S Pro 5mm longer? If you design that racket to be a front court racket, then just put the handle farther up, just like the 100ZZ, and you can have more maneuverability. You don't necessarily need to make the whole racket 5mm longer. So my main point is, I think the 88S is completely like, I don't want to use like bad words here because I like Yonex, but I think it's a marketing thing to sort of just say, hey, like, if you're a front court player, 88S, if you're a back court player, 88D. But I don't think it's prescribed that way. In fact, a lot of people use the 88D as a singles racket. Like Kurenai, one of the best players in modern day. And a lot of other players use the 88D. In fact, I think the 88D and the 100ZZ both are more singles type rackets. 88D can be a singles player racket, and I think the 100ZZ can be a backcourt doubles player racket. Like, don't let them tell you otherwise. A lot of people actually use Nanoflares as singles racket, like women. Like 800 Pro, Ratchanok, I think, uses the 800 Pro. Although she has stated that she likes lighter rackets. But I would say 800 Pro isn't like super light. It's a tad lighter than Even Balance. It's not like 700 Pro. 700 Pro, way too light. Like, unless you have... Okay, here's what I'll say. The Nanoflare is... There's one use case. The reason why you should get a Nanoflare is not because you like defense or anything. You can have just as good defense with like a 77 Pro or an Arc Saber 11. The reason why you should get a Nanoflare, one and only reason I can think of, is if you have elbow problems or some injuries and you just need a lighter racket. Then you should get a Nanoflare. Like 700 would be a great one, because those would not be as straining on your arms and shoulders as the Astroxes. But that should be it. Because the Arc Saber 11 and the Astrox lineups have enough, it's still not that slow. Like, it's not slow if you get 4U, but it has way more power, and it has equal, if not better, control than Nanoflares. So I just don't understand the Nanoflares. Now, there's another reason, but you've got to be a professional to utilize this reason. The Nanoflares can generate the highest smashing speed. That's just has been known. It's a science. The Guinness World Records have always been the Nanoflares. Like, I know the 1000Z has the current title for the Guinness World Record of the fastest smash guy and girl, but even before that, they had the nano something, nano ray Z speed, and that they did the same thing. Like I've lived long enough and played badminton long enough to know that that's what they use to promote the nanos. But let's be honest, for most people, like 99% of you watching, just like me, you're not Olympian. So you can't utilize what's inside the nanoflares to generate that. You're better off getting an Astrox, having that extra bit of head weight, even a Arc Saber 11 with slight head weight to medium to even balance. You're better off having the head weight to guide and assist you with that momentum. You need that extra bit. You're not an Olympian. So and also I just think nanoflares are hard to use. Head light rackets are always hard to use. Head heavy rackets I feel are more suitable, guy and girl. Especially for a girl, you need that extra momentum to help you clear from backline to backline. With a nano racket, like a headlight racket, you need to utilize what's inside you, your core strength, to hit that racket, to hit the bird really far. So that's what I'll say. Yeah, I talked about the 800 Pro, so I think let's leave it at that for now. As you can tell, I'm so excited to use this racket, and once I use this racket, I will come back and report to you if there's a difference. I'm hoping it will be closer to the navy one and not the Kurenai red one, because I don't really like this one. But without the strings right now and without the grip, I can't really do a weight kind of test, because I'll weigh it and everything on top of doing things anecdotally by playing with it. So I will check in with you in a couple of weeks. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments down below. I make an effort to answer all your questions and all the comments, and I really appreciate your attention to my channel. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Have a good day.